Hey everybody, again, welcome. Thanks for watching these videos. The goal of me creating this library for all of you, sorry I had to move my mic closer, library is so that those of you who are able to just kind of watch this a little bit and don't need as much help can do that. There's also some of you using this that maybe were learning online and doing it that way, so that's the case. I hope the goal of these videos is just to sort of clear some things up. So at this point, we're about halfway through our chapter that we've been working on, and we've been doing a lot with multiplying polynomials, and in a large number of those cases, we're using the distributive property. So what we're going to basically do now, and in the resource, the book packet that you get with this, it talks about kind of working backwards, and I think that's a really appropriate way of looking at it. And so when we look at factoring, that essentially we are working backwards. What they're going to do is they're going to give you a polynomial, and you're going to try and write it out in simplest terms of what you think the things were that they multiplied together to get to it. And there's a lot of useful applications of that when we're solving problems. And so let's, I think the easiest way to do this is just to go through a few of these with you, and I think you'll do some practice on them, and at that point you'll start to understand it. So we've got 27y squared plus 18y. So when you do factoring, the first thing I always look at is okay, let's look at my coefficients. All right, my coefficients, usually there's something I can do with those to pull out the greatest common factor, right? Greatest common factor. And in the book, they show this whole thing of where you do the prime factorization and then you pull it out. I really think at this point, if you're in algebra, you should hopefully have a pretty good idea of how to just sort of look at some of these numbers and say, okay, what's the largest number that goes into both of them? Because that's what greatest common factor is. What's the largest number that goes into both of them? And so if you look at this, you can see that 9 goes into 27 3 times and it goes into 18 2 times. So 9. 9 is the largest number that goes into both of these. So 9 is going to be one of my numbers that's going to be on the outside of the distributive property parentheses product that I'm going to set up. And then with your variables, these are actually easy. First of all, you have to have the same variable. If you're going to pull one out, you have to have it in all the terms. And in this case, there's just 2 terms. And I know I have a y in at least one of them in each of these terms. So I'm going to have a y. And then what you do is you pull out the largest factor or the smallest factor between the two of them. So in other words, I know that y only shows up once here, but it shows up twice here. So I know I can pull out at least one. So I'm going to do that. And then what you do is you go through this and you flesh it out. You kind of do your reverse distributive property. So what do I got to do to 9y to make it 27y squared? Well, I'd have to multiply it by 3 to make it 27. And then I'd have to multiply by one more y. Okay, now what do I have to multiply by 9y to make it 18y? Well, 18y is just basically 2 9y's. Because 2 times 9y is 18y. And then you notice I put that plus sign in. Well, your sign's usually going to be that one right there. It's going to match it. We got a couple examples later on that are a little weirder, a little hairier about that. But this is the basic idea kind of what we're going after here. All right, so let's take a look at it some more. All right, minus 4a squared b minus 8ab squared plus 2ab. This looks really ugly, but it's not nearly as ugly as you think it is. So we can look at let's look at our numbers first of all. So we got negative 4, negative 8, and 2. And the largest number that goes into all of those is 2. Okay? And then I have an a term here, I have an a term here, I have an a term here, and the smallest degree of all 3 of those is 1. So I can pull 1 out of each one. And then same thing with b. I have a b term here, I have 2 of them here, and I have 1 here. So the smallest degree, I have a b in every term, so I know I can put b down, and then my exponent's going to stay 1. In other words, I won't write it down because that's the smallest exponent shown. And then you just go through this and you multiply. You figure out what each term is going to be, and we're going to have 3 terms in here because there's 3 terms here. And so in order to make 2ab negative 4, I'd have to multiply it by negative 2, and then I'd need 1 more a. And then you just kind of check it in your head. Well, does 2ab times negative 2a equal negative 4a squared b? Yep. All right, next, I'm going to go minus 4, because what do I have to multiply 2 by to make it negative 8? Negative 4. And then ab, well, this is ab squared, so I need 1 more b. And then with this one, I got 2ab, and then this one is exactly 2ab. So when you get that, you just plus 1. Multiplicative identity, right? Multiply something by 1, you get itself. And so the finished product of this would be 2ab times minus 2a minus 4b plus 1. One thing I want to show you really quick that's kind of interesting is if I wanted to, I could have made this negative 2ab, because you can pull a negative factor out too. And if I did that, that would change the signs of everything in here. So then this one would become 2a, this one would become plus 4b, and then this last term would become minus 1, because negative times negative would give me a positive on that. And this is a little nicer to look at, but basically these are 2 versions of the same thing. All right, let's look at a couple more examples real quick. All right, so I got 15w minus 3v. So you got to be careful on this one. All right, I know that I can factor a number out, and I think 3 is the largest number that goes into both of those. But I have a w here and I have a v here. Well, so I don't have a factor that's shared between those two. So at that point, really, all I can take out is that 3. And so then you just reverse it. All right, what do I multiply by 3 to get 15? 5. And then I got to include that w. And then minus, all right, because that, 1, which I'm not going to write, and unless I have to, but I don't because there's something else, v. So this would be the factored example of it. And what's nice about doing factoring is if you're not sure if you did it right, just blow it up and see if you get the original thing, and I do. So this is my factored example. This one right here, it looks like I've got a 7 and a 21, so I'm thinking, okay, maybe I can factor 7 out of this. But then you get over here and you have 1. So I actually can't factor a number out of this because the largest number that goes into all 3 of these is 1. And you're not going to write 1 down. That's goofy. All right, so instead, let's look at our variables. Well, I've got a u term in all of these, so I know I'm going to have a u. And I've got a t term in all of these. And I know I'm going to have a t. And the lowest degree of my u is 1. So this one right here is good as it is. Same thing with t. All right, so now it's just a matter of filling in the inside of the parentheses. So I know it's going to be 7 because I got to get to this 7 coefficient. It looks like there's 1 more u and 1 more t that I need. So 7 ut plus, I'm going to take that whole coefficient because I need it, 21, and this is ut as opposed to ut squared, so I need 1 more t. And then this one, it's minus ut, all right? And this is a positive ut, so I know I'm multiplying it by 1, but it's going to be by a negative 1 because I want to get that minus sign right there. And again, if you're not sure if you did it right, just multiply them out and make sure you get to what you started with. And when I do this, it looks like I did. All right. Last example, guys. Sorry, this is a slightly longer video, but this is a new concept, and I want to give you enough swings at it looking at it. All right. Negative 24c cubed minus 8c. Well, I know there's a c in each of these, so I'm going to take a c, and it looks like my lowest number of them is 1, so we'll leave this how it is. And then it looks like I can pull an 8 out of both of these. And you know what? I don't like that there's these negatives and everything, so I'm going to pull a negative 8 out. And you're going to see how this kind of neatly cleans up. So negative 8c I'm pulling out of both. All right, so what do I multiply by negative 8 to get negative 24? 3. And then it looks like I need 2 more c's. So c squared. And then this would be plus, and this is already negative 8c, and this is negative 8c here. So what do I multiply by this to make it itself? 1. So your finished answer is minus 8c, 3c squared plus 1. Again, if I wanted to not factor out this negative, I could have done that, but then what it would have done is it would have changed the signs on my inside terms inside the parentheses. So thanks for watching. Hope this helped clear up some things for you.